Oh,
What's
there's
new,
Tucker.
Pussycat?
Tucker. Hi, Tucker.
Hi, Tuck.
Good morning.
Good morning. I got my coffee.
Okay, welcome to everyone. Glad you're here. I'm going to go ahead and start. I want to first say, why is Clucker, as I'll call him, Clucker, continuing to do a smear campaign against me? Well, I wouldn't even be doing this response video right now if he kept his mouth shut. He didn't. Apparently, he's roaming social media in search of a new cash cow. He ended up over on Carla and her crew, and I'll talk about that here in just a moment. But I guess he wants to paint himself as a new victim and vilify me, continues to try to do that. Clucker the victim, that's kind of hard to believe, isn't it? Well, he still remains silent about the donations to St. Jude, $7,050 that are missing. St. Jude completed I'll show it to you, investigation on January 9th of 2020, and they discovered that, in fact, the $7,050 donation he claims that were sent in, I'll show you the video where he claims it, actually was not received by St. Jude. It is missing, and he has not accounted for it. You'd think if you donated the money to St. Jude, they'd give you a receipt. He has not shown that. You'd think if he donated the money, he would show, which he said he did through PayPal, he would show that receipt. Well, he did show a receipt, and we sent that in, and it was not found. St. Jude did an investigation, and unfortunately for Tucker and for all of us, that money is missing. So let's go ahead and review. All that information has been redacted. He told me he put a blank white piece of paper over that. Well, everything is out of alignment. You couldn't have done that. So something is very fishy. There's enough Swiss cheese with holes in it here to make us wonder. That's why we did this. We went ahead and we contacted St. Jude. And let me show you the results of their investigation, January 9th. I think you can read that. And my last name in blue on the top left is covered. And it says, Mr., and that's me. I spoke with the team. This is from Sean Martin, who did the investigation with the PayPal team. I spoke with the team that assists with PayPal. We were not, and I repeat, not successful in locating the donation you inquired about. That was the $7,050. Okay? All right. I was notified that Clucker was running his mouth over on Carla and Crew's YouTube channel the other day, dragging me. I wasn't there. I'm going to play you a small but important clip about that. And this happened just recently. And it kind of completes the circle of this donation of $5,000. But before I do that, did Tucker actually receive a loan from me? Did he approach me? Did he ask me for a loan? And what was he going to use that money for? Well, Tucker actually admits that he borrowed $5,000 from me. He approached me for a loan. I gave him a $5,000 loan. And let's show you the facts about that and the proof, shall we? Well, the Federal Way Police that I have a case with, they seem to think that I've been scammed. I would be scammed, I suppose, if the person who takes out a loan, who admits to it, who just did, it has no intention of repaying the debt, wouldn't you say? Shall we take a look and see whether he has, in Clucker's own words, right? What kind of person would take out a loan and then say he will never repay it? Shall we see whether he's that type of person? Now, what you're about to see was on Carla and Crew's morning live stream. Okay, and Uncle Fester, pay very close attention to the side chat. And there's somebody on here called Uncle Fester. And he's going to, let's take a look at what Uncle Fester says. Uncle Fester says to Clucker on Carla's stream, Mother Fuker, when are you going to be paying Stellar back? And this is what he had to say. This is what Clucker had to say.
Anytime you want. Oh, Uncle Fester, I can give you an answer for that. Never would be that answer. How about that? It'll never change. It'll just never change. I'm here to have coffee with my friend
And
Right.
go away.
Laughter.
Yeah.
90% of the stuff that you guys talk about, I don't even have a clue what you're talking about.
The word for that is theft. You admitted the loan that you have with me. You approached me about. Remember, you also approached for a second loan of $5,000 in late December. Do you remember that? I have proof of that too. And then you approached me for a third loan of $1,500 in mid-January, and I turned you down for those last two loans that you asked of me. Clucker, is your behavior criminal? Well, I think we're looking at the answer to that. This is in your own words, Clucker, this is what you wrote. Remember, this is a social media post that you made public. Tucker, this was something you put up publicly, and you left up for 7 years. It was on an expat site for Brazil. Remember, you were thinking of moving to Brazil. You had a fiance there in Rio. Let's go ahead and read that. Dave, and his last name is covered up because I do not dox. I would not give out your last name. And it says, hi, everyone. I have a question. I'll be moving to marry my fiance in Rio, to marry my fiance. I understand the need for documents. However, the criminal record check seems to be a bit confusing. I will marry and apply for permanent residency, and do I need a criminal check document? After 20 years ago, and I put it under red here, Clucker says, I had a few mistakes, that I made. I have a few mistakes that I made. Will this prevent me from getting permanent residency? And do I even have to ask for one? Any help would be great. I think you've already found that out. You're not living there, are you? I guess that's the answer there. So this is your own information, in your own words, Clucker. You have a criminal past. Several is more than 2, right? I wonder what they could be. Well, Constable Kitchen in Nanaimo, BC, RCMP, Royal Canadian Mounted Police Office, was nice enough to tell me what they were.
This is Constable Shannon Kitchen with Nanaimo RCMP. I'm calling to speak to Mr. Joseph McQuiston. I received,
I'm going to play just that much of it. That's who called, and I have her image up there with her name. She works at the Nanaimo RCMP office, and the phone number is there. And the police case report number is also listed there, right beside her. And she was the one that told me, let's go back to your post here, where you said you made a few mistakes. Yeah, I said, you read that? And she said, yes. I said, can you tell me if the mistakes he made were anything like what he's dealing with, being charged with now? And she said, that's exactly what it was. And she said, fraud. Fraud, really? Okay, well, no surprise there. That's when you get sticky fingers, isn't it? So you have a criminal past, and it was verified by the RCMP, and I'm putting out facts and evidence. People can call up there if they want. She told me that you are not living in British Columbia, as you lied to everyone and said you were. You're not. You're living in Ontario, and you always have been. It's easy to find you in the system. Your driver's license is still Ontario. You're living in London, Ontario. You've lied to us. Okay? Very nice of when you go to the authorities, you get the truth. Okay? So we have a $7,000, let me come back on screen here. We have a $7,050 donation missing. That was earmarked for St. Jude, right? That's gone. And we have a $5,000 loan that was admitted to, that he borrowed and refuses to pay back. And we just heard him say he's never going to pay it back. Again, there's a word for that. It's called theft. It's called fraud. Okay? And there's certainly more. I want to acknowledge Rosie O'Kelly, I could put this up on screen. Clucker told me that he sent Missy 2 $100 payments. Money was collected on one evening on Clucker's live stream for Missy's dad. But she only received what I'm showing you right now, one $100 payment in Canadian, which amounted to, what did it say, $72. So Rosie made up the difference, and I certainly want to acknowledge that. So once again, I show facts, and we've listened to Clucker in his own words, very indicting. So the lying is really amazing to me. Let me come back on camera here. The lying that's been going on. Well, you know, if you're not in British Columbia, then you didn't have your surgery in the hospital in British Columbia, so you lied about that. All the lies. Your son brought the Audi out. Well, you know, he didn't bring it out because you weren't even living out there. And the Carfax lie. The surgery gifts lie, right? Sent out to BC. You're living in Ontario. The dog food lies. All these lies. You know, you're like Swiss cheese. Everything you say, in your own words, Tucker, you know, you've been brought out into the light of day. And what did you do? Well, I didn't dox you, but you did dox me on G Mango's site, right? You remember that? And I could show you that. YouTube, you doxed me on G Mango's. And I have proof, I just showed it. You also doxed Jack Sparrow. And you put up on a separate YouTube page, which has been taken down. We had that taken down within 24 hours. Jack's information, his real name, his address, all kinds of information on Jack, phone number, everything was up there. And then you did the same for me. As you can see. He sees me over on Side Chat. This was back a number of months ago, where I was on the Side Chat of Dave the Fisherman. Now, I'm never there. I was there. That's the second time in my life I've ever shown up there. The only reason I showed up there was because I was asked to, and I'll show you by who. But you fire up a stream and say, Stellar and Fisherman, leave Randy's life alone. What a crock of shit. Let me show you what Randy had just sent me and why I was over there typing in something, because Dave the Fisherman was asking for Randy to come up on her panel. Randy found out about it, contacted me through Twitter, and here's what she sent me. Okay, so once again you lie. Once again you twist and contort the truth. Okay? I went over there, but I did it because Randy asked me to. Okay, as you can clearly see. And you can verify this with Randy. You know, if you don't think this is real, just ask her. You know, would I be dumb to put something up here that's fake? Yeah, I really would be. No, you can verify this, and you can verify the information that's going to be coming next from Diane and Randy about a very special private room conversation in Twitter, in which I was called into after Clucker, you were in there, issuing veiled threats. So let's go ahead and talk about that next, shall we? A message from Randy and Diane to come into a private Twitter stream. So I went over, and Clucker had just been in there, and he had left. And he had issued veiled threats and intimidation to both of these women, to Diane and Randy. They called me in and informed me what had taken place. Randy was visibly shaken, extremely disturbed by what had taken place, and crying. And so I asked, I found out that what they felt they needed to do, because she had just been swatted, Randy had, and was, I would say, suffering from PTSD, clearly. They were issued veiled threats that Clucker wanted them to do another video where they throw me under the bus. Okay? And I reviewed what had been said, and I got their permission to be able to revisit this, to get the truth out. Enough time had come, enough healing, and we were able to address this. Okay? So here's what was actually said. I said, may I speak about this? And Diane said, sure, go ahead. I'm not afraid. I've already contacted the police department where we have tenants and connect us to those addresses as well as to where we live, and so forth. Let's see. And then she says, I said, well, you know, there are people that still go over to Clucker's Hangouts that are people that hold wrenches on your side chat. And she said, well, maybe when they find this out, let's see here, she said, maybe she'll feel differently when she hears how Tucker played Randy and me. So you can see that very clearly. Let me go ahead and scroll down into that. I simply recall Randy was very disturbed, and you were as well in this conversation with Tucker. I recall you saying Tucker made veiled threats about a second swatting that could happen to Randy, and that was very unsettling to both of you. I think that was what led to her going along with making a video to state Stellar pressured her to be on panel. In other words, to deflect on me being the bad guy in all this. Let's continue to look at this. And then Diane responded and said, yes, he said we should make a declaration live stream saying we were manipulated by you. That's what Diane said to me. Type this in. You can verify this. And when Randy, as she was crying, said, do you think I could be swatted again? And he said, there is that possibility. And I said, yes, that's pretty much what I recall. Diane, did you and Randy deduce that Tucker was threatening you or her with that comment? And as you can see here, Diane said, it felt that way, yes. And I said, it sounded like that to me. More importantly, Tucker didn't seem concerned about protecting or comforting, just threatening. Thank you, Diane, for your thoughts and permissions to go forward. And that's the recall from Diane and Randy having to do with a meeting they had with Clucker and why they made that short video, which they've taken down, which Randy's taken down, where they threw me under the bus. Well, they did it because Randy was terrified, and I knew she was going to do it, and she told me, Joe, don't watch. And I said, don't worry about it. Well, I did watch. And they did it because they had to. So, and I knew that. And I said, you do what you need to do. We'll take care of this later. And today is later. I addressed this briefly before. But this is a type of individual. And again, don't believe what I say. Stellar just showed you proof. But make sure I didn't make any of this up, okay? Contact Diane in particular. Randy, if you wish. But contact Diane and see if this isn't, in fact, exactly the conversation that we had. You know, there's a difference between people we all have a past, right? But some people with integrity put their past behind them. They've learned from their mistakes, right? But you, Clucker, according to the RCMP, are repeating your past. Fraud, okay? They confirmed your past to me, and others can check that as well. The RCMP told me that the new charges are the same as the old ones you had. Your past and present appear to resemble each other. That's what it looks like. Past is past, fine. But if the past continues, Clucker, and you continue to scam, and I think a lot of people finally figured out, and you are a smooth-talking con man. There's no question about that. And you're grooming a whole new audience. But we're going to call that out, okay? Now, let me show you what I received recently. This is brand new from the Fraud Department of London, Ontario. Let me bring it up on screen. So what he's been doing is a smear campaign on myself and Jack. And the reason is to take the attention off himself, of course, as he looks for another cash cow, another community basically to groom. Now that's my view of it. That's my view. Yeah, thank you, Mar. The facts are generally, if they are factual, they're indisputable. We have to interpret them. But I think sometimes facts are pretty clear, and they speak for themselves. Stories. He's got 3 birth dates. He's talked about being born December 13th, the end of February. And then I heard the other day on Carla's, I think he said he has a birthday coming up. So that would be what, May or June. There's an awful lot of apathy in this world, and particularly on social media. And what we need to be concerned about is that we don't become so apathetic we fail to stand up for what we believe in and protect those who need to be protected. Okay, I'm not going to do a sermon on this, but I feel strongly about that. Many people are pummeled and run over, and we have scammers as well. And I just think that it's extremely important for us to rise to the occasion, do the right thing as best we can. Yes, there are a lot of good people, and I hope more than bad, and I want to believe that. I think that is true, Diamond's Lash Ranch. I think that is true. But we can make a real effect on YouTube. I don't think anybody doubts that. So I just invite all of you to, when you see something that's not right, listen to your gut, listen to your heart, and pay very, very close attention to what you're hearing. I was being dragged the other day by Tucker over, as was Jack was, over on Carla's, Carla and Crew, on her channel. She does morning streams. And I don't have any axe to grind with Carla. I don't think she knows who I am. I did communicate with her once. But I do think that she was not really paying attention to the dragging that was being done on me. But actually, it turned out pretty well because a very strategic question was asked, Tucker, are you planning to repay the loan to Stellar? And his answer was very definitive. Nope, never. He's not going to repay it. And so I thank you, Tucker, for being so. That was one of the honest statements that you've made since I've known you. You actually told the truth there. I think they call it a preponderance of the evidence. If someone is not going to be genuinely truthful and honest and have integrity in many ways, in many areas, then all of that adds up. Jack, you want to weigh in a little bit on, tonight?
I just wanted to say I really appreciate you for updating us all and bringing this back into the light, especially since he's been trying to get into a different community now, over in the true crime.
Right.
So I think it was, for a lot of the newer people and the true crime people, I think it was a good thing you put this up. Well, yeah, I'm just glad you made an update on this. I think, it's a good refresher for people that already know, and it's good for the people in the true crime community to see this, so they're aware of Tucker.